not that long ago. I'm waiting for the YouTube stream to really kind of get up and going, and as soon as that does, then we're gonna get started. And this is some work that I had done for Dynasty Series. We did a Cubs shoot. You'll be able to check that out if you go to dynastyseries.com slash who knows. I think we're on the main page though. I gotta give a little bit of a disclaimer. I'm not feeling 100% today. I got a little bit of a cold, but I wanted to get a chance to do a quick edit because I did stream out most of the shoot, and I said at the time that I was going to come back and show some of the retouching on it. So I'm firing up Periscope right now so I can get a chance to watch and follow along if there's any comments and stuff like that. Okay. I can hopefully see them in time to answer some of those. I appreciate the likes and stuff like that. So I think the YouTube stream is up. Also, if you want to, follow it. YouTube. It's just youtube.com/BIOHERTZ, I think, and it's live streaming there. I'm gonna switch over to make sure I can see the chat. Hopefully, I can answer some questions there and here. I don't exactly know how I'm going to do that because the setup is kind of wacky. I gotta stop talking and get to work. And actually, you know what? I might do a little bit more talking, just about different things that are going on and what have you, and just actually work and not do a ton of explanation, but maybe save the explanation for a different time. So let's get going. I guess Kevin should have done a little bit of a mic check to make sure that I can hear myself. Let me do that. Take 2 seconds just to make sure the audio is even working. Turn it on the microphone. These things are always yeah, it is working. Alright, we're good. So Cubs had a big win yesterday. Really excited about that. All the Chicago fans are really pumped up to see him go back to the championship series and hopefully do some damage. It's been too long for the Cubs. I mean, they had success last season, but obviously they got bigger aspirations and goals this year, and why not? Hopefully I'm not knocking this screen around too much. It is right above my head, actually. So I'm just gonna kind of use my patch tool to get rid of that softbox. I brought a softbox in real close, and one thing that Periscope does drive me nuts with it is it's kind of white balancing. The way it tries to work with your colors and stuff. They should really have an exposure lock on here, and all the updates and stuff that they've done. I mean, still I haven't seen an exposure lock. Yeah, so I'll have to take this in chunks because I want to use the surrounding colors. I do want to keep that all in place, and only way to do it is really to grab everything in pieces. It's kind of annoying, but it's the best way that I found to be able to keep the colors and keep the transitions. It does a marvelous job if you're only doing small sections at a time, and so that's what we will do. Yeah, I do want to make that suggestion to Periscope. Hopefully they'll listen to me. It's kind of just standard camera stuff these days, so I kind of assumed that it would be there, and then found out that it wasn't as I started trying to do some of these broadcasts. So first thing for me in all these shots is just work on the background. tighten that up first, and then start to go into smaller details. Like I can see, like right along this edge, how that transition is not perfect because the floor should be much wider. But it's not that big of a deal to me right now. Um, I can extend those shadows manually. I can extend those shadows a variety of ways, and I'm just gonna make it quick and dirty edit on this one. Uh, all right, so that's getting okay. I'm gonna leave it as is, and you're seeing over my hand as I'm painting on the screen because I am using a Wacom Cintiq companion, and I'm still kind of getting the hang of it. I've been working with it for a little while. Um, I'm not 100%, with it yet, but I'm okay, and I'm getting better each time. So I'm cropping this down to like a 4:5 format. It's kind of the Instagram format, I guess, and I'm leaving it full so that I can have a lot of flexibility with it. And yes, I am the photographer. Uh, I shot this Cub set for Dynasty Series, kind of a celebration for them, and yeah, I shot it. If you take a look at my Periscope stream, you can actually see, I think this shoot should be up there. Alright, so now I've got my crop format figured out. I'm just going to do a frequency separation on the background real quick, on everything on the image, not just the background. But number one thing I want to take care of is the background and the colors that are being used. So my color repair layer, just going to make a brush that's about maybe about 50% opacity, and just start selecting some of these colors and go ahead and paint them back in. And again, you can see, alright, some of this stuff is going to be okay. That shadow looks a little bit cheesy coming from her leg. I think it's okay to have some, but maybe too much is too much. Too much is not good. And I think the floor should be a little bit whiter, so I'm just going to paint some of that white back into the floor. It should fall off to blue to a degree, but just trying to make it subtle. Alright, that transition looks a lot better to me. There's also a little transition in here that's not the greatest. Okay, and then we'll just finish off getting the rest of that shadow from the light out of there. I'll take a little pass to get closer and really try to just eliminate any kind of annoying imperfections in there. Alright, sexy, yeah. Well, I don't know if you're talking. I'll take that as a compliment. Either way, I'll take that as a compliment. And also, I should say that again, if you want to watch this on YouTube, you're going to get a better quality feed. I don't know if you got YouTube available. This is just kind of an ugly over-the-shoulder view. But I think it's still cool to be able to interact with people and stuff like that on Periscope. I like what Periscope does. Okay, and on the texture, I'm still just kind of cleaning up the background. If you could see everything that I can see, there's a little messy, darker spots in there. I mean, this was like the third shoot that I'd done on this lighter paper or what have you, and I didn't have anything down below. Man, it did get kind of messy, to be honest. And I'm still kind of practicing the art of live retouching. So this is kind of, these are all little like practice runs for me. So if you guys got questions and stuff like that you want me to ask, I'll try to ask them, you know, as we go along, and I mean, I'll try to answer them. But other than that, I mean, I just I should have done something else sooner, but this is okay. I'm not gonna beat myself up. I'm just going to use all of this as I'm gonna merge all that down into one good solid layer. The reason is because I need to do some liquefy on the body. I'm using a Wacom Cintiq Companion 2. I used to use a Cintiq a while ago, and I really kind of liked it. I like the mobility of this little guy and the quality that it can push out. In your first year of web design, yeah, I did some web design too. I used to do web design. I did application design, you know, user interface and stuff like that as well. So, yeah, man. All right, let me keep pushing here. Yeah, I'm gonna go and run that same frequency separation action again. Actually, it's kind of silly. Like I said before, some of you might not have been here. I'm not actually feeling my best today. A little bit sick. So, if I'm not quite on point, please forgive me. I'm going to. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Keep going. I mean, art is a rewarding career. It's not always easy. There's a lot of competition, and more people get into the industry every day. But some of it is mastering the software, and some of it is just kind of, you know, once you got the software mastered in school and stuff like that, then you can really put your own artistic you know, stamp on things. So she's kind of like the twist that I had. It kind of made a little bit of a bulge here. She's kind of a, you know, a thicker girl, you know, with both muscle and, you know, just her body style. You know, I like it, but you know, every now and then you can twist them into angles that might create something unflattering. So liquefy tool I just use to kind of round some stuff out, smooth out some edges. I try not to completely change the body style too much, but you know, it's kind of glamorous. You know, a lot of complaining about, you know, what's right and what's wrong, but I mean, I think it's clear that this is supposed to be a glamorous sort of an image. It's not 100% realistic here. I mean, not a lot of girls are gonna just roll around and have cut up shirts um, for the Cubs. Kind of silly. I think her shoulder got a little bit pushed out, and the shirt falling in the front kind of hides her boobs a little bit. So I can just kind of pull that stuff out, push the shirt back in. Okay, no problems there. Legs look real good. Not much to adjust. And there. And then I think the socks. Yeah, see, stuff like this. I mean, I'm still bringing up weird little brush dialogues and stuff because I'm not as proficient with this tool yet as I would like to be. I'm just gonna tuck in the little areas that were sticking out on the socks. And another little complaint, I gotta tell Photoshop about this, but they don't have a scrubby zoom in the liquefy. They've got it everywhere else. They've got it in masking and stuff like that, but I think they just left liquefy. Well, they did make some adjustments, obviously, with the eyes and all that stuff, the face aware, but I don't get off on that stuff too much. It's a little silly to me. Like, how often do you really want to move a girl's eyes, or, you know, a subject's eyes further apart or down, or I don't know. That stuff is kind of wacky. Alright, so once I got my liquefy done, you can see that all that just popped right back into shape. And now we can do our liquefy pass or our frequency separation. My brain is on a vacation today. Don't try this one sick. Alright, now I'm just gonna go. Okay, that's all crazy. I need to step back. Part of my frequency separation, what? Alright. Part of my frequency separation process involves some actions that depend on the names of the layers. So it's probably a mistake in the way that I did it, but I couldn't figure out another way. So I'll just say this is called background. Enter. Alright. And so now when I run my frequency separation action, it should create the appropriate layers. Still hasn't created appropriate layers. Damn. Feels like amateur hour. I did name change on that. We'll call this background copy, and we'll call this one background. Because of my frequency separation, I think of the layer that's on top as the texture, you know, and the rest to me is the colors and you know, so on and so forth. So if I turn off the texture, everything in here just gets really smooth. You can see there's no detail, you know, and if I turn it back on, there's a little bit more. Now, how I kind of got this effect, it's kind of a dreamier looking photo. I might save that for another video, but in the way that I was shooting, I explained at the time that I was shooting at like a 1 point, you know, I was shooting like a 2.8 aperture or something like that. And what that allowed me to do was have a kind of a shallower depth of field. I was also shooting at a very slow shutter speed, so it didn't like hard capture everything. It made it all kind of soft, you know. It's still in focus, but it's got a more shallow depth of field than usual, and it also you know, it also has just a, you know, it's got the detail, but it's just not as tack sharp. So, in other news, I checked out Luke Cage yesterday. First episode of that. I didn't get too far. I had a bunch of stuff to do, but I've been kind of hearing about it and wanting to watch an episode, and I thought it was actually good. Did anybody else seen Luke Cage on Netflix? If so, let me know. You can chat in and answer any questions. There's not a lot of people watching right now. I know, I'm my all-time lowest. Might have been fumbling around a little too much. It's kind of funny though. I just do these kind of impromptu, but really I'm gonna try to make sure that I'm doing these on the weekends, and you know, stuff where people can actually spend a little bit of time tuning in, not just like in the middle of the day. But it also helps me to have a little time where in the beginning of this, where I'm first, you know, kind of trying out some of these techniques and some of these tools, to make sure that my process is solid and make sure that my system can handle the extreme processing that I'm throwing at it, you know. So really, I'm still trying to smooth out the rest of the skin from here, where I did a big kind of alteration to the body, and also want to smooth out just visual areas. Now there's two ways to do this. You can kind of see at one time that I was painting underneath the texture layer, and now I'm painting with the texture layer on. I do that because um, all the time it's not necessary to um, paint with the texture layer off. Sometimes it's even better to um, see exactly what it's going to look like before you adjust the colors underneath. It's not always the case. I mean, but you can find yourself, because you can find yourself getting into trouble a little bit only painting on top. But if you're doing a speed edit like I'm doing right now, and I know the background probably took the longest of this, you may not have all day to do all of that stuff. So, then you end up needing to make adjustments that are just appropriate for the time being. And if it looks good here, it's fine. It doesn't matter if you have another layer on top or another layer underneath or anywhere. This is good as you need it to go. Okay, and like areas in here where it just gets a little bit darker along the the underwear line. I mean, I could smooth this curve out over here. You can see this blue reflected light. Maybe I could smooth that out and get rid of any additional marks in there and stuff like that. So for this area where the color is kind of inconsistent, I can do two things. I can look at the color underneath, and I can see that the color is basically smooth. It's not perfect, so that lets me know that it's in the texture. Now I can go through and try to lighten up the darker areas, which kind of works to a degree, or I can go and try to darken up the lighter areas, which works to another degree. And I kind of like the idea of, for this, if things like stretch marks or blemishes or something like that are in the skin, and they're, that's going to be lighter than the skin. But if you're looking at something that is maybe like a scar or something, a lot of times scars are darker than the skin, and you just want to go in and lighten those areas. And that's the beauty of the healing brushes. You can just choose which one you want to do. Right now I'm using lighten still, and it's just lightening up any of those areas that are too dark. And then, like, if I see that some areas need to be darkened, I can just go right in and just darken along